Hey guys, and welcome back to Tales from Anvil, the podcast where we share stories, insights, and adventures from the world of Empire LARP. Whether you're a seasoned citizen of the Empire, someone who's just thinking about giving LARP a try, or someone who has no idea what any of that means, you are truly welcome here.
Each episode, we're going to be sharing some of our own experiences, whether they're good, bad, weird, awkward, whatever the case may be, we're going to share them. And every now and again, we're going to get guests on to come and share their experiences too.
So why don't you pull up a chair by a virtual campfire, pop a drink, and welcome to Tales from Anvil.
Yeah, welcome in everybody. And this is one of those occasions where we do have a lovely guest with us this evening, today, whenever you're watching this. So we are very proud and very happy to have Charlie with us. Charlie, you've been playing LARP for a good couple of years now. But why don't you introduce yourself and also tell us a little snippet about your character, who you're playing, which nation you're in, that sort of thing.
Well, hello, I'm Charlie. I play Eldrid Phoenix Flame Vestardadir. I can never really say my own name, which is always fun. I am and from Wintermark. I'm a Steiner Stormcrow, so I play a priest in Wintermark of Steiner sort of origin, I suppose is the way to say it. Eldred is currently the champion of ambition. Being a priest, she follows the way, but also one of the main virtues, which is ambition. And I've just been having so much fun with it because it's just kind of just going around and sort of chatting to everybody. Lots of fantastic role play and getting involved, and being a champion of ambition with it being a martial title, getting into a scrap every now and then, which is, who doesn't love a bit of a scrap with a skirmish? So yeah, it's been really fun so far playing as Eldred for, I think this is third or fourth year now playing her, so it's been really exciting.
Excellent. And is Eldred like the first character you made for a LARP?
Yeah, well, Empire and Eldred are my first ever LARP and character. I got into it. I wanted to LARP for so many years, but it was just kind of getting that confidence to actually like go and do it, which I think a lot of people do have, because it's, you sort of like from the outside looking, going, God, that looks so cool, and oh, I wish I was doing that. And after a couple of years, I just kind of went, do you know what? I'm just going to go and do it, and not wait around to try and get friends involved or things like that, or anything like that. I'm just going to take the leap, jump in, and go and do it. And it's honestly the best decision I've ever made. And it's been really, really interesting because the sort of creating the character is, especially to someone who didn't know LARP or anything like that before coming into it, is almost like the best thing to do is just throw yourself in, like in, not in the deep end, I suppose, but just throw yourself into it, go and immerse yourself in it and find out what you want from your character, what you want to play, and things like that. Because I kind of I play a lot of D&D. I always end up being a cleric, so I kind of thought a priest would be a really fun character to play because it could be sort of like elements of that I could bring into it. So I went into it going, oh, we'll see how it goes. And for, I think, the first 3 events, I was still sort of figuring out my character and what I wanted to do. But there was just like turning points of interacting with different characters, having certain experiences, having encounters with specific people that really shaped the character and kind of went, oh, this is the road I'm going on. And it's been a bit of a wild ride since.
Very cool. I have a question.
Yes.
What's Wintermark? What's the deal?
What is the deal with
And
Wintermark?
why are they just
What?
Vikings?
No,
What?
we're not. We're not Vikings.
I
We're
love
very
that.
much
What
not
is a
Vikings.
Wintermark?
What is Wintermark? Well, Wintermark's one of our many nations. We are a nation that is made up of 3 different peoples, of sort of different backgrounds. So we're made up of Steiners, Calavessa, and Suak. So one of our main mottos is 3 people, 1 nation. So with the different peoples, there are different sort of looks and feels and backgrounds of kind of where they've come from, what the sort of the look and feel is. So Suak, they are based in the north. They've got lots of they're very based on like the Inuit sort of culture, so a lot of like seal skins, and their sort of kit is very much heavily embroidered and with lots of colors, and it's a really beautiful kit. I imagine very comfy when it gets cold at night because it looks incredible. Then we've got Calavessa, who are sort of not all, but a lot are sort of like a mystic kind of background. They often tend to wear, not all the time, but tend to wear lots of like feathers and black and things like that. Uh, Again, not their primary colors, but a lot of things like that. And then Steiner, which is what I play, we tend to sort of take the look of like Viking-esque, but not like Vikings from the TV show, sort of like actual Vikings.
Mm.
So sort of like Anglo-Saxon
What
meets
are
the
you saying? Vikings
Rohirrim.
from TV aren't historically accurate?
I know,
Are you-
shocking. I know. How dare I? How dare I shut my mouth and do that? But yeah, sort of like the feel of more of like Anglo-Saxon meets the Rohirrim from Lord of the Rings. So lots of dual colors, as in like emeralds and rubies and things like that. Lots of jewelry and rings and things like that, because it's sort of, we come from a lineage of sort of like lots of textiles and lots of sort of like, you want to show your wealth off and kind of things like that. So it's kind of a bit of a cauldron of different looks and feels and things like that, but we're all under the same banner. So that's always a lovely sort of.
Is
mix
there
of
any
having that.
like tension between the three like cultures in this one nation?
No, not well. From my perspective, I don't believe so, because I believe it's the sort of thing of, it's like we're all sort of siblings together. We're all from Wintermark. We're all from sort of the cold, harsh climates of being up in the mountains in the north and things like this, where like, you know, being around snow and harsh weather, we're like, oh, brush it off. It's just another winter or another summer for us, depending on, you know, where we are. So I think it's very much that we all do come together. I mean, there are going to be people who don't agree with each other, but that's just, I think that's going to be who they are as people, not as who they are as like their backgrounds kind of thing.
Yeah.
So everyone just kind of, you know, it's not really looking at them as separate. It's more of a, you know, is we're all together, but we might dress a little bit differently. But it's
Okay.
fun then to sort of like ask the questions, hear the stories and things like that.
Yeah. So with it being, so obviously, well, my first character was my first character, my only character originally was a Wintermarker. But something that I've always found a little interesting was, and that I never really fully understood, but does each of the three people have different customs and kind of different ways of play, if that makes sense, like from an overview perspective? So, or is it very much like Wintermark traditions, Wintermark customs?
I'd say
Like
it's very
the
much
Suak have them, and then the Calavesi have a different kind of customs or anything?
Again, from my perspective, I'm not trying to say I'm a professional on Wintermark, because I'm sure people will say I'm saying, oh, this is all wrong and things, but this is from my perspective. What I've taken from the game is that there aren't the differences within the people, but it is just, it's a Wintermark tradition. So like a big thing that we have is about hospitality. So it's you know, come and share my hearth, you know, let me offer you drinks, food, you know, come and sit, hear our stories, you know, tell your stories. Very much feeling of like, come and make hearth and home with us. Like, we may not know you, you may not know us, but you're always welcome, that kind of thing. So it's always nice to sort of have that element of when we have maybe people who come to visit who are from either other nations or either from outside of the Empire come and visit. You know, I know when we've had people like the Jotun come and visit and things like this for certain diplomatic not missions, but like trips and things like this. It's always been to open the hospitality for them. It's not to sort of be like, oh, well, you're not part of us, we don't want that. It's very much, you are welcome, you know, come and sit with us. You know, we may have differing opinions on certain things, but we want to welcome you in and discuss. So it's kind of got that very a very homely feel about it, where it is, you know, you can, especially when I first started going to LARP in general, and then figuring out what Wintermark was for myself, was you could literally just go from camp to camp to camp, and people would sort of ask you questions, chat to you, and you know, you use the age old for any newbies, use the age old phrase, which is, I am new to Anvil. You know, that sparks up everyone to immediately go, oh, well, come and sit with us, come, you know, it's just that thing of, you immediately feel a sense of community, you immediately feel the sense of like, oh, I'm being cared for. And I think that's very much the Wintermark sort of way of life, really.
Is that something you would say is like sets Wintermark apart from everyone else? And if not, like, is there a singular thing that you think would set Wintermark apart from the other nations?
Um, I mean, it's a difficult thing to say because I suppose each nation has their own elements that make them stand out and things like this. I do feel that because of us having our openness for hospitality and telling stories, and giving each like having the traditions of giving names for things. So like when you do something, you're recognized from something, you're given a name, and that then obviously then encourages you. Like my name that I was named, and my name is Phoenix Flame. So then it's like when you do meet people, they'll say Phoenix Flame, what does that mean? And you can then tell the story of why you've got it. So it's very much like sort of come and sit by the fire and let's tell the stories of us as people, of us as our hall, of us as the people of the empire. It's kind of that element of carrying on like things that have happened or people that have come and gone and keeping them alive with the stories. So I know it's not too dissimilar to Navarre where they have songs and stories and they sing and things like this, whereas this is, I suppose, a little bit different. Is it that it doesn't have to be done on such a grand scale. It can just be a couple of people around a fire just discussing what a name means. So I think that's probably an element of what it makes it stand out. But that's what it made it stand out to me, because again, it's having never LARP before or anything like that, you are kind of diving into the abyss. You kind of sort of read like a paragraph of this is what this nation's about, and then here's some photos of what they look like. So you are still kind of like, oh, that sounds great, but in practice it might be something different. So that's why I kind of sort of threw myself in to go, well, let's see what Wintermark's all about. Let's go decide if this is what I want to do. And I just immediately found that it was that sense of I suppose it's just the sense of tradition, I suppose, is one of the things, is just honoring names, and that it's when people die in battle or in skirmishes, it's a sad thing, but it's also to die is not the end kind of thing. They're going through the labyrinth, they're off on the next journey, we will see them again. And the one of the chants we shout is a hero has a name. So it's always, everyone's always celebrated, even if you weren't named specifically and you just had just your first and surname, like that will still be celebrated. So it's just the element of the nation looking after itself and being proud of itself and sort of showing off what it can do. And that's really what's made it become a lovely home for me. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Something you mentioned before about obviously when you created your character, you created a priest. You've played clerics in D&D.
Yep.
And again, I'm gonna say I speak for all three of us here, but we don't know much about the priest game. We had a lovely guest on a few weeks ago, Jim, who is also a priest of ambition in Dawn. And what I would like to kind of know is what your experience is with playing that kind of character archetype, because I would imagine there's going to be a lot of differences. And I think that's something I'd like to highlight, is that not like, because in D&D you get a character sheet, right? And you get certain abilities and things, and you can play within that kind of framework. Whereas with LARP, you go, cool, I'm going to be a priest. And then a lot of it, you have to kind of create that thing yourself, right? So I'd like to kind of dig a little bit deeper on like what that kind of play style is for you, what you enjoy about it, like that sort of thing.
Well, it's kind of, that's the great thing about this, is because again, with D&D and things like, there's almost like a set structure of what your abilities are and what you can do, whereas with LARP it's very open to the elements, because I feel that's the best part of it, is there is no wrong way really to be a priest in the game kind of thing, because the priests it's not really done as like, I mean, you can take it as like it's a super religious kind of like divine thing, it's like where you can say like, oh, I don't know, you can treat it as very like pious and things like that, whereas for me, I sort of took it as from reading about it, and also from sort of watching other priests and seeing, not just in Wintermark, but sort of like at the Ambition Assembly, which is like where all of the priests of that virtue meet, and just sort of seeing how people discuss and talk about things, and you're sort of taking tips and cues from then in a way to kind of see like, oh, I could play it like that, I could play it like that. Personally, I sort of take it as like you're basically a guidance counselor is the only way I can describe it. It's like, it's like you're 16, you're going to go and see a connections advisor about where you're going to go after school kind of thing. And it's kind of
Is that how you're going to summarize like the
that's
Ambition Priest game? A
not
connection
not
advisor.
let's just
No,
let's just
it's on
remember
record.
let's just remember that Jim's whole thing was being a life coach.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's how
yeah.
he plays his characters.
Yeah,
What's your
yeah.
ambition life? How are we going to get you there? Right, let's make a
Yeah.
5-step plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
And
yeah,
the
kind of
ambition priest we met in Wise Guys was just drunk.
we do often tend to do that as well. That's how we get so ambitious, it's basically, it's kind of like you sort of like you're wanting to know, so it's like, so you want to, so maybe it's someone who is new to the game and they're like figuring out, they're like, well, maybe I want to go to courage, but I'm not sure. I maybe think ambition. And you kind of go, okay, well, tell me about like, what draws you to ambition, what do you see that as? And it's really good fun because you can have this role play of you kind of, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm sort of trying to draw it out of you to get your own experience, and that's so much fun to do. Because, or you get people that are like, yeah, I'm dedicated to ambition and I want to do this, and I'm like, okay, what are your ambitions? And you hear all these people go like, well, I want to build this, and I want to do this, and I want to reach this title. And it's really great to sort of have that back and forth of kind of like, okay, great, I love where your head's at, I love what you want to do, right, let me help you get there. And it's kind of like, talk to me if if it's something like like if it's a martial role or something like that, being in a martial role myself, it's like, okay, right, this is, maybe we should get you into skirmishes a bit more, maybe we should get you on the main battlefield in a sort of a bit more of a role that people will see you as like a bit of a leader and things like this. And asking like, or maybe you can go and speak to your strategist of your nation, or you can go and proxy for a general, or for a champion or something like that, to sort of see if that's what you want to do. Because I sort of feel like it's kind of just having that dialogue with another player, which is so much fun, because you do then just create this awesome experience of let's try and facilitate, especially with ambition, it's kind of let's facilitate how we can get you there, because I might not be in Jim's specific that sort of like way of life of being like, let's get a 5-step plan and things like that, but it's just kind of sort of like getting the conversation going and kind of being like, right, let's introduce you to some people, and let's just, because it's like, I know with all the will in the world, I don't think I could, if every person I stopped to help, I'd be torn from here to asunder, because I'd be wanting to help everybody, everything. So it's what I try to do is I try to get them in touch with the people that I know are going to help the most, be it myself, be it someone in Conclave, be it someone at Senate, be it another nation, and things like that. And it's making those connections, and it's making those friendships, and it's broadening those gaps, because especially being a sort of a hat in a virtue assembly, what we've always got to remember is in each virtue, it's not a nation that runs it. There might be more than others, but we're multinational, so I always like interacting with all the different nations. I love hearing what different people are doing and how they want to do it, or if they've got like gripes or anger or things like that. It's like, well, how can we help you? How can we do this? What can we as priests do? Be it putting up statements of principles or mandates or things like that, or doing inquisitions of people.
I can imagine it's like really rewarding as well, because obviously,
massively.
like, given that type of game, you're being invested in so many different players, like journeys
Yeah,
in games, and then
big
you
time.
might, like, I can imagine, I imagine you've had experiences where you've sat in a bar at one summit, giving somebody life coach skills and going, I'm going to put you in touch with people, let's get you on this path,
Yeah.
not see them again for 3 or 4 events, finally
Yeah.
bumping into them again and have gone, oh my god, the whole thing worked, and this is how
Yeah.
far I am. And like, I can
Oh
imagine that must be
yeah.
so rewarding.
It's so good, and it's great, because I try to do a thing where like I have like my office hours and things like that, where, and I put posters up and things like that where I am available for people to come talk to me. Not necessarily just about ambition, because at the end of the day, being a priest, you are a priest of the way. So it's like, I'm not going to turn away anyone that's going to be like, oh, I would love to talk about courage, or I'd love to talk about prosperity. I'm like, come and talk to me about it. Like, you know, or people who are new that are like, oh, I like the way, but I'm not sure which virtue I'm more drawn towards or what that means. And it's like, let's have a discussion. And it's great because, I mean, one of the first people I spoke to wanted to come in. He wanted to be a general, and that's what he'd done. And he'd run for it before and hadn't got it, and he was a proxy. And it was like, right, well, let's go and do this. Right, you're going to run for it, and I think what we're going to say, you know, let's talk about it. Right, what are your qualities for getting this role, and what's your experience? And you know, like just sort of hearing their story as well and doing that. And I think it was like an event or two later that came up and they were like, I got it. And it's like, that's amazing. And it's like then seeing them sort of grow and seeing them go off and do their own thing. Because it's the thing is like, it's not necessarily a thing of, oh, well, this is my thing I've done. It's like, oh, we did this together, and I'll be sort of, you know, like, off you go fly, bird, like go and hit the heights of what you can do. If I can be of any more help, I'm here. If not, that's totally fine. I'm so glad to have been that stepping stone to get you the next bit. And that's what kind of clicked in my head for, like, you know, what is the priest game? What am I doing? And I really just wanted to help people. I just really wanted to be like, you know, at the time of sort of, especially sort of like my first year, I was like, I'm very much new to the game. I don't have any really like power, as it were. Like, I don't really have a lot of connections. But it was really just like, you kind of just have to kind of go, I'm just going to throw myself into it. I'm just going to get involved. I'm going to just talk to people in the assembly or in my nation, or just bump into people at the pub and start having a conversation and things. And you find some people, you know, most people are really receptive to it, and they're really like, you know, oh yeah, Wintermark talking to a leaguer, let's have a sit down and talk about things. And it's like, oh cool, great, like tell me all about what you're doing and what your ambitions are and how you're doing it. And I think it's that wonderful thing of you just having that interactions with all different players and meeting all sorts of different people. And sort of as time's gone on, it's really fun now, because when you start, it is so intimidating. And I can imagine you all will agree with this. It's so intimidating to come in, because there's no like, okay, well, we'll start you off on the beginner's course and then we'll move you up. It's kind of, you're slap bang into it. It's like, right, you go into, especially as a priest, it's like you go into the first National Assembly, it's like, right, all this is going on, here's the list, and right, and then last event this is going on, and I'm like there writing, big eyes as big as saucers, going, I don't know who any of these people are, who's Britta, you know, what's going on, you know, all these names and stuff's going on, and you're trying to keep up, and it can be very overwhelming and stuff. But I think you just have to just dive in and just let yourself absorb it, like, you know, take as much time as you need. And just keep going to the meetings or keep talking to the same people. And then I think it was like sort of like after a couple of events, I sort of got the hang of it. And again, you know, what's fantastic about this community of LARP is that you can just turn to the next person and go, I'm so sorry, I don't know what's going on. Could you just explain it to me? And they'll go, sure, yeah. So blah, 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 blah. And you go, right, got it. Thank you so much. And they're like, no worries. And again, that's another connection, because then it's like, you know, it's so lovely to have been a person that knew nobody when I first came into this, and was kind of wandering around like a lost puppy going like, could someone tell me what to do and what's going on and things like this. And now it's like 3 or 4 years later, and I'm walking through the field and saying, hi, hey, how you doing? Oh, how was that going? Oh, how's this? Congratulations on this. And it's such a lovely experience where it's like, it's now, instead of a sea of sort of like blank faces of going like, I've got no idea who anybody is, there's so much recognition. Even if you've bumped into each other once or had a conversation that lasted 30 seconds, or you know, you've drunk together at a pub or bought around for somebody, and it's just that lovely element of just sort of like, oh hey, yeah, we can sort of chat and catch up and see how you're doing and what have you been getting up to. And it's just this wonderful experience, and that's what I found really enjoyable about being a priest, is that element of just going out and chatting to people and sort of saying like, right, what do you want to do, how can I help you get this, or let's get you in touch with the right people. And it's just kind of that element of the that's what's been nourishing my game, is just getting to know people and sort of seeing them grow and seeing them aim higher because of their ambition or because of what they wanted to do. And it's just a really lovely experience, and I want to keep doing it.
So I'm going to ruin the perfect segue we have to talk about Champion of Ambition, to go back a bit, because I want to talk a bit more about Wintermark.
Yeah.
How is it kind of like broken down? So like for example, in Dawn, we have houses, we have lances. There's like a gameplay kind of loop kind of built in of you be started as a yo, you become a noble, you can become an earl. There's like different knightly orders and stuff. How is it different for Wintermark?
Well, Wintermark, so I think you guys have houses, so we have halls. So it's like different halls and things like that. But other than that, there's kind of not really like that rank of like yo folk and knights and things like that. It's just kind of we're all the people together. There's obviously like titles that you can get, like senator and certain things like that, and different bits and pieces. But there's no sort of like rank of folk. It's just like we are all the people together, which has been quite nice because it's again it's that thing of, I suppose, again coming into Wintermark fresh as it was kind of like oh, we're all on the same level, you know, like obviously people have you know, there's different people who will be like mystics, and there'll be people who are like artisans and stuff like that who have skills, but it's not necessarily like you know, like a thing to put over the other or something. It's like there's still a signer or there's still a suak or something. It's not like it's anything over that. And so I suppose it's that level sort of field for everybody, and it's quite nice.
Are there thanes? I want to say there's thanes. Are they not leaders of halls?
Well,
But
leaders is kind of like the wrong word, but it's kind of like it's like sort of like the head of the house, as it were.
Yeah.
So it's the head of the hall. So
yeah.
some people will do it where they just elect the thane, and then that's it, and it's until they die or until they give up or until they step down. Some halls will do it where each year they'll do an election and go like, right, do we want to move it round so everyone gets to be a thane and everyone gets to have a go at sort of being the head of the hall and kind of things like that. So it just depends. It varies on hall to hall, really. But kind of there's a thing called Thanes Meet, where the Thanes of the halls will go and have a meet and basically just sort of like have discussions of what's going on in Wintermark, what's coming up and things like that, anything that the halls or people should know and things like that. So it's not really sort of like a title or like a grand thing. It's like it doesn't gain you anything. It doesn't like you know, it's not like you get resources for doing it or something. It's just sort of like a bit of a title that you can get by being in a hall. So that's what a thane is. So yeah.
Another question. I just need to stop saying another question. This is what an interview is.
It's all good. So, it's all good.
If I were to die, my character to die, more specifically, and I was to join Wintermark for the next event, what would be the things you'd recommend for me?
So the thing I'd recommend is sort of, again, just coming in as basic as possible, to kind of figure out who you want to be, because you could pick that you are you know, a Steiner artisan or something, let's say, that you sort of go, well, just pick things, or just you turn up as a Steiner, you haven't picked a skill or anything like that yet. And it's just kind of sort of being around the people and experiencing what you enjoy and where you like being. Like, you might want to be a mediator, you might want to go and be a mystic and join a coven, you might want to be a priest and sort of join in with all the Stormcrows and things like that. But I'd say sort of like come in and just go and let yourself experience not only the nation but the people, because you so can find that you know, I've been around, one of the first halls I ever sort of hung around with was the Kingfishers of the Fisk, who are absolutely amazing. I have to shout them out. And they were all mystics, which I had no interest in the magic game or anything, but it was fascinating, and it was really amazing to see them work together as like a coven or as a group together, and the rituals they do and what it meant to them, and, you know, being again sort of kind of like almost like you're sort of getting a passport to go and see something you wouldn't see before. And again, it's that thing of like, oh, this is exciting, this is cool, and I love the way that they're doing this ritual, and they're invoking a lot of the Wintermark aesthetics and traditions and things like that. And like one of the things that we do is we have like Skyne readings, so which a couple of them did for me. So Skyne's kind of like they kind of almost it's kind of like reading your soul, I suppose, is the only way I can really describe it. It's like a lot of using of the runes and like what the runes mean to you and are mirroring back to you. And it's kind of sort of, it's great. It's great to I think my Thane of my hall, who I think did my very first Skyne, we were just sat at the hospital, I think after a battle had happened. She was like, "Do you want your Skyne reading?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." And it was very much a sort of thing of like, right, take 3 runes out of this bag. And it was like, right, describe them to me. What does it mean to you? What do you think this is? And it's very much sort of like taking the lead of like what you feel and what it's telling you, and taking from that. It's a really lovely experience, because I think I did a couple of Skynes by some friends and things like that. And then I had one from a shaman who's one of the mystics in Wintermark, and that was a really like very theatrical experience, because it can be just something as different as just we're just sat on the corner looking at runes and it's great, whereas he did it as a very like theatrical thing, went into this like tent, and it was all very like, oh, it's sort of we're in the swamps of Calavessa, and it was really theatrical. And it's a wonderful thing to see how the players do that translation of the different sort of like elements of Wintermark or the nation, or what their kind of skills are, be it a priest or a mystic or a mage or whatever, anything like that. Because I mean, that's how I've adapted doing things like being a priest. I'll do dedications where I'll dedicate people to ambition, or I'll do anointings where you can anoint people with like auras of ambition, or hallowings where you do like you're sort of anointing objects with auras of ambition. And again, it's from watching, especially in Wintermark, it's kind of watching people as they do their skills and seeing how dramatic, or sometimes it's not dramatic and it's just simply just reading a page from a book and placing your hands on and it's done, to having a big old like shout, and we're going to be by the fire and we're going to make it really epic. And it's great just to see how people pick those things up and make it their own. And it's something to behold. It's full theatre, and it's great.
Very nice. Last question about Wintermark from me anyway, and I'm going to throw it to the other lads. What's the bear pit?
So the bear pit is at every event, I believe. It's basically where you'll sign up to have a scrap, basically.
Nice.
And from my understanding, it's you're not like heavily armored, so it's kind of a level playing field, that someone's not like super buffed up compared to someone that's wearing like no armor and things. And it's kind of just sort of getting to show off your skills, showing off what you can do. And it's great because it's in our moot square, so it's right at the heart of Wintermark. And it usually everybody gets round into a circle, so it's very like, it's very pantomime in the best sort of sense, because it's lots of like ooh and when they come out, and there's lots of cheering from people. And you don't have to be from Wintermark to take part. It can be very much like
Oh shit, really?
Can come. Oh yeah, definitely.
Really. Yeah.
Definitely. It's run by Wintermarkers, but it's an open invitation to any other nations to come in and again show off what you can do.
Fuck it, okay, that might be a bit of crack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great fun. I mean, it's always good fun, again, because I'm also a healer. So there's also the encouragement for bring the healers over, because it's like, when someone goes down, it's like, oh, right, healers run in and get them. And you get to do that bit of role play of like, come on, it's not that bad. I just hit you with a bit of the tip of the sword. Come on, get up. And you make it like a big sort of like pantomime and like not, because it's like kind of going on skirmishes and going in battle, I feel, is the big dramatic, we're charging into battle, we're charging off on this, and we're going to make it really dramatic. Whereas I feel the bear pit is like, you get to have fun with it. So you get to like, sort of play games with each other, and you get to like take the mick, and you sort of can like ham it up a little bit more. And so it's just it's a fun like little pastime that we get to have. And I think it's usually Saturdays, and it's open to everybody, and it's great fun to watch. I do want to go and compete myself, but I've sort of not had the courage to go and do it yet.
Okay, if I go, you go.
We'll go. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll sign
together.
up. We'll fight together. Yeah, absolutely. So you get matched up against people. So it's kind of like the grid system. So it's like, you get matched up, and then it's whoever goes on to the next.
Bracket system, Charlie.
Sorry, bracket system. Sorry. I do apologise. Bracket system. So sorry.
Yeah.
So it's like whoever wins goes on to the next round, and so it's down to the final 2, and you're crown winner of the
I
bear.
won a lot of money at my first event betting on
Oh yeah, there's all that as
this lad
well.
I got one of the lads that I got pissed up with on the Thursday night. He was like, "Oh, I might enter the bear pit," and I was like half cut on that afternoon anyway because I'd come back after being on the field. So I'm stood there like 2 or 3 meads down, half cut, and he's like, "I've entered," and I was like, "Class!" And I just started walking around going, "Who wants to bet?" I came
yeah.
away with like 3 or 4 thrones. Not
Oh,
3 or
yeah.
4 thrones.
I was
3
gonna
or 4
say,
crowns.
I don't think I was
Sorry.
betting that high.
Yeah.
But
No,
it's
3 or 4 crowns.
But it's great because it
It's
is that
great.
there's so many people around being like, because you can bet with them, I believe, where you can say like, right, I'll put 10 rings on the Dornish fella, or like I'll put a crown on the Wintermark gal. It's like things like this. But then there's obviously people that are doing side bets where they're like, right, I'll do 2 crowns on the Varushkan. It's like, all right, I'll do 3 crowns on this, and so it can really be like, again, it's a really good thing, and it's usually near where the Artisans Arms is. One of the best pubs in Anvil, I will say. And it's great because you can go and have a drink, you can sit with your mates, cheer on people who are having a bit of a hammed up fight, and it's just a great way to spend sort of the start of your evening before sort of, usually, as most times happen, the pub crawl then begins. So it's a great way to start your evening on a Saturday, especially because you've had like a whole day of fighting and things like this, or going off and doing things, going off and doing other things, and then you can just sit down, have a drink, watch that, and then start your evening. So yeah, it's really good fun. I
It's
highly
my fire
recommend.
alarm that's going off. It's fine.
Just checking.
Should we worry? Do we need to call somebody?
Nah.
You don't
nah,
look
nah,
panicked
nah.
at all.
Nah,
Like,
it happens.
Cool.
Just black smoke coming onto the screen, and Kian's going, "So tell me about." Like, next
I've been
question.
in like 9 fires. Okay, I'll know when it's bad. Okay.
Fair.
Excellent.
Oh,
Oh,
Jordan, I
we've
think you're
lost
muted.
Jordan.
Oh,
Apologies, I had muted myself.
Yeah.
oh, there we go.
I was clearing my throat. I was about to ask, should we mute you, but it appears to have stopped, so we're fine.
Yeah.
We're fine.
We're
It's all
okay.
good.
I actually lied. I do have one more question. What is, and you've more or less answered it, but I want to, what is your favorite bar in both Wintermark and Anvil?
Oh, okay, so I love the Artisans Arms because it's always, again, being I'd say one of the main pubs of Wintermark, it's really welcoming, and they've just had a sort of a whole new sort of like facelift of it. So they've got a new tent, and it's all very jazzy, and it's got lights on the side, and it looks fantastic. So if you haven't seen it already, I'd highly recommend going and checking out sort of the Artisans Arms 2.0, because it's absolutely fantastic. But then I do have to shout out Wise Guys, because it's kind of like it's kind of like our safety blanket pub, is the only way I can describe it, because it's we'll go on a pub crawl, and there's loads of great pubs in Anvil. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anyone's, because we've had many a good time at the Drunken Goose in Navarre, we've had many a good time at Sovereign's Head in Varushka, but it's kind of like it always gets to sort of a point in the evening where someone will sidle up to you, you're all a little bit drunk, and just sort of give you their look and go, Wise Guys, and you kind of go, okay, and you sort of, somehow we just like, it was a new site. I got lost so many times, I could not find anything. Could I get to Wise Guys drunk? Of course I could, because it was just one of those things. It was like a homing beacon that just was summoning us home, and it was like, oh, we're back. And it was just one of those things that we just sort of end up, and we always have a good time there. So I do have to say, Artisans Arms and Wise Guys are my 2 favorites. So they are fantastic.
And just for the social media and stuff, hey, you people at home, tell us your favorite bar in Anvil. I hate doing these. These sound really bad.
It has a certain charm when you do it though, Kian, because it almost feels unnatural. So people now have to answer the question. Hey, you at home, as he leans closer to the camera, answer the question.
Yes.
Keenan and I spent a lot of time with Wise Guys last event.
It's
Very
a great
drunk.
place.
It was
It's a
so
great
good.
place to hang out. It's a great place to hang out. I will say, there's a bar, I believe it's in, I don't think it's the Marches. I can't remember which it's, because again, everything's all moved around. I think it's the League, maybe, but I think it's the Talbots Bar, or it's the goose. Oh God, I can't remember now. Everyone's going to be shouting at it, and I can't remember. It's like the goose in the league, I believe is. But they do amazing cheese boards and like ham and cheese boards. And the guy who runs it is a really, really nice guy. So I have to sort of give them a sort of a mention as well.
I had a
Hell
map
yeah.
here somewhere, but it's after
I can't
going.
remember what it's called because it gets like
Oh,
a couple of things, so I can't remember what it's called.
So
I think
whereabouts
it's the
was it?
goose. It's in the league, I believe.
The league.
I think it's
This
No,
is
I need
such
to
a
remember where
tangent.
I need to remember where the league is on my map.
I know it was kind of like
So where
just off from Wintermark was.
Yeah, so where Wintermark is, where
it was
God
like you went
is, it's on the
through.
other side of the hedge.
Yeah, it was on the other side of the hedge, and you turned left, and it was kind of that way.
Uh,
So I don't
I'd-
think it was a marcher. So yeah,
I had a good time in the
or maybe it was a marcher. Maybe it's the
Mandala's
marchers.
Arms.
Maybe the marchers.
Mandala's
What-
Arms
what?
because the Magpies were paying for all the drinks.
Nice.
So I was just like, oh shit,
So-
really? Okay. Anyways,
Um,
yes.
Kind of keeping us on track,
Yes.
because we do have a real bad habit of going so tangential to
What?
So somebody mentions a pub 25 minutes later, we're like, and
That's
then
it,
this
we're
thing
gone.
happened in a
And
pub.
this happened. Yeah.
So I want to kind of circle back to what you were saying, and I know we're kind of coming.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm staring at my map and I've forgotten what the name of the bar was. So I'm just gonna put my map away.
That's fine, all good.
Fair.
So you were talking before about obviously the priest game and being champion of ambition. You mentioned
Yes.
assemblies. Can you
Yes.
just for anyone at home that doesn't know what an assembly is, can you
Mm-hmm.
just give us a brief like overview of what an assembly is, and then we're going to hammer you with questions around what a champion does and what's what's the
Fair.
point of being a champion kind of
Totally
thing. And
fair.
do they actually do anything? Those kind of questions, you know?
We're very important.
Yeah.
So an assembly, so there's three, I suppose, types of assemblies. So there's your National Assembly, which is the meeting of your national priests. So they usually happen twice over the weekend, usually Friday evening around about 7 o'clock, and then Saturday afternoon around about 3 or 4, depending on what time the cardinals and the people organise it. So yeah, National Assembly is basically, it's in your nation, and it's all of your priests in that nation coming together to kind of talk about everything from the synod to what's going on in your nation to what's going on outside in other nations that may affect us, or we should support them, or with something should be done. Kind of sort of like coming together and sort of having a big chat about what's going on. So that's twice in the weekend, and then the other assembly, which is usually right after each, is your virtuous assembly. So that's where all of the priests in the in Anvil meet who are of the same virtue. So usually that's straight after your National Assembly, about 8 o'clock on Friday, and then about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock on Saturday. They can be anywhere because, again, with it being sort of multinational, it's like they move around. So I think for the last couple of times, our one in on the Friday is usually held in, I believe it's the League. So it's kind of where you all come together as priests of, for example, Ambition. All the Ambition priests in Anvil will meet and discuss, again, topics that would be important for us to know about, things that we should talk about. It's a time for, again, with National Assemblies where priests can raise things and say, like, I'm putting this up for like a statement of principle, please vote for it, or I'm going to be calling this person to Inquisition, please come and witness that. Or it's a time where you go, I'm running for a position within this assembly, so I'm putting myself forward, and then would have a sort of a session of voting and things like that. So it's kind of coming together and talking about all things synod, be it in your nation or in your virtue. So it's really interesting.
At the Virtue Assembly, being given that you're the champion of ambition, do you get to sit on like a tall chair, lord over all the other
I
ambition
wish
priests,
a
and be
really,
like,
really nice beanbag just in the corner, just watching
just feel
everybody.
like,
Yeah,
fuck you, peasants. Nothing nothing like that.
Sadly not. I'd love like a big high chair for me, but no, it's usually depending again, every virtuous assembly is different of how they do it. We have it where we have our cardinal sort of maybe sat centrally, be it at one side, and we all sit around in a circle or in the middle or whatever, however they want to do it, and they sort of guide the sort of the meeting, really, because we've only got an hour, and with everything going on, it can sort of get on. So they're
Right.
sort of there to sort of keep it all on track and kind of go like, right, does anyone have anything to raise? And we sort of kind of go around the room and have like our time to say what we want to do. So it's kind of the other hats necessarily in the virtuous assembly, not necessarily in the National Assembly, but we've got a cardinal, we've got a gatekeeper, we've got an inquisitor, we've got a champion, and we've got a voice. So we don't really like sit up front with the cardinal. It's kind of, we're all intermingled. It's kind of the cardinal sort of center stage, and it's kind of leading us with things that they've heard or that they want to bring up, or they're sort of like there to kind of centrally keep us going, because then once that's finished, there's the assembly of 9, which is afterwards. I believe that's 9 o'clock on Fridays. I'm not sure if they meet on Saturdays, but that's basically where all the cardinals of each virtue go and have a meeting with their proxies, and kind of sort of discuss again elements of what's going on in Anvil, what's going on with the synod, and outer things like what's being said in Senate. Just so then it's like we're all keeping up to date with the things that are going on in Anvil, and is there anything that we can do as the synod, as priests, to either assist, to help, to quell anything, and just kind of go from there, really. But the Assembly of 9 I would highly recommend for anybody that is a priest who hasn't been or is new to the synod game, and would like to learn more, because you can go and be witness. You can't say anything, I don't believe, or you can't really add to it, but it's really interesting to go and see, because it's interesting to hear all the cardinals talk and have their opinions and just hear about what's going on. So I'd say go and talk to your cardinals and say, can I come along to the Assembly of 9 and hear what's going on?
Hell yeah. And doesn't the emperor or empress have a seat in that as well? So
I
they
believe
attend,
she
I
does.
believe?
I'm not sure she attends every single one, but I believe that she either attends or she'll have a representative there, who again can pass on or be passed on information back to the throne and things like that. So again, it's elements of hearing everything that's going on. So it's not, doesn't just have to be things that are going on in the priest game. It can literally be everything and anything, military, Senate, conclave, anything like that that's going on, sort of, so we all can hear and find out what's going on, and then that can get from the Assembly of 9 can get relayed back to us in Virtues Assembly and National Assemblies. So yeah,
Well,
we love a good meeting. We love a good meeting. So
everyone loves a good meeting. That's what Empire's for.
So yeah.
But talk about the assemblies and things. So what's the point of the champions then specifically?
Well, the champions, so the champion of ambition is a martial role. There is, I suppose, an element of regalia that goes with it, which is the pilgrim shield of that that virtue. Some champions have their shields because they found them after they've been lost. Pretty much all 7, I believe it's all 7 shields were lost, because I don't believe the Way has a champion, sadly. But all 7 pilgrim shields had originally been lost, and then over time it's kind of, I suppose in a way, it's been the champion's job to track that down, get it back. Some have got them back, and had them as official regalia. Some have been lost, and not sure if we can get them back. Some are still missing. The Pilgrim Shield of Ambition, which is known as Excelsis, is currently missing, and that's one of my ambitions at the moment, is to get it back, and to track it down, which is what I'm currently, is one of my plots going on at the moment, is tracking down Excelsis. I suppose the role of champion is to kind of be a priest, but I suppose in a martial sense, because it is a martial role. So it's kind of imbuing ambition to those who wish to take the field, those who wish to take up arms and things like that, but necessarily we're not always on the field. So I like to sort of do an element of pastoral work off the field as well, where it's kind of like chatting to people about wanting to take the battlefield, if it's like what they want to do, if they're nervous about it and things like this. But then being on the battlefield, it's great to just sort of like use elements of like Tian, who's one of our exemplars, or Adelmar, and kind of like imbuing people with that, like that push of ambition, that sort of like extra oomph to kind of go like, go and fight, go and be a hero, and things like this. And it's always great fun to kind of do that. And I think that's probably why I was drawn to the role, really, because that was where I was going with it. So to be the champion and to kind of encourage people on and off the battlefield in all things martial has been really, really good fun.
Hell yeah. So, before we kind of... Oh, I just hit my microphone. Before
I don't know if I need to... I'm so sorry. It's my laptop is like dying, so I don't know if this is a good moment that I just run off and get my battery for a second. I'm so sorry.
I
You're all good.
will pause the recording. Assuming.
So, obviously, thank you for telling us all about different elements of your game, which we love. So the whole premise of Tales from Anvil is that we want to hear and share stories from all around the Empire. We invite guests on to do exactly that, share their experiences of what they have expertise in terms of games, but we also want to hear some really cool stories. And given all the chat you gave before about how much Winter Markers enjoy sharing stories, we would love it if you could just tell us a really cool story about something really fun that happened to you at Empire.
So I think it was probably the second skirmish I ever captained, because being a champion, you get to be given the opportunity to run skirmishes, which is really exciting, but also really terrifying. And I was a bit nervous because my first ever one had gone okay, but it was very like higgledy-piggledy. I was still getting used to the whole idea of skirmishes and leading them, so I was really nervous and wanted to make a really, really good impression with this one. So I went round to all the different war bands in Wintermark and basically like sort of said, right, I want all Wintermarkers with me on this. I want all the people I fight with regularly. We're going to go and would take on what's ahead of us. And so I think it was about 55 of us. I think that was the size of it. So it was a hefty amount, and it was all Wintermarkers, and we were all like sort of, really like amping each other up and things. And from sort of like the very first moment of like going through, because there's I don't know if it's necessarily a tradition, but it's kind of almost like a ritual thing of going through the gate, especially for the first time of going through a gate with Wintermark, is you can opt to have a scar. So someone may come along and mostly I think it's done on the cheek, or it can be over an eye or something like this. But you'll make a scar, and it's kind of like I suppose an offering is the wrong word of saying it, but it's kind of that thing of like, oh look, I'm going through to fight, like I'm going to go and have this experience. And I remember doing that the first ever time I went through the gate, and it was an amazing experience. And since then, there's the element of you can have the scar keep being reopened. So I've kind of got this almost like superstitious thing of every time I go through the gate, I have to be scarred. So I had a friend do it and had this really big like speech, and it was very like personal, and it was very much like, you're going to be an amazing captain, and it was done by my friend Tim, who plays Umarth, and it was amazing, and it was such a really lovely experience for us too, again with the role play and stuff. And then Ian, who plays Lauris, who is one of the Storm Crows in Wintermark, he opened the gate for us, because we need people to open the gates, and he did the whole thing of like my hand was slashed, and we put the blood over the sentinel gate, and it was really like emotive, and it was really like, she is offering this, and my hand was being held up, and he was shouting it all, and we're all going through, and you've all got this sense of like we're all in this together. And it was just a fantastic experience. And we faced off against heralds, Jotun, and a brass colossus, which was so much to come up against. And again, this was the second time I'd ever captained a skirmish, and it was so like I was very overwhelmed, but I'd made sure to plan ahead of time. I'd spoke to everybody. I was like, right, this is the plan, this is what we're doing, this is the tactics and stuff. And then we did it, and it took so long to get that brass colossus down, and we were all just like patching in with each other. It was very much like we were just like keeping an eye on each other. We were helping each other up if we were down. We were encouraging each other. And when we finally got that brass colossus down after what felt like hours, it really did. It was probably like 5 minutes, but it felt like 5 hours. It was just like the roar of all of us like in it together, like, yeah, we've done this. And it was just this massive sense of national pride of just, it's not I've done this, it's we've done this. And like, you know, we've come together as a nation and we've taken these guys down and we've done this together. And I just remember feeling just this overwhelming sense of pride and happiness and just like, oh, this is what it's all about. This is not only in like the gameplay and the role play and everything like that, but like this is what it's LARP is about. Like this is the community that has come in and just accepted everybody and has just made it such a wonderful you know, wonderful family to be a part of. And it was just one of the biggest highlights of LARPing. And it really was that sort of, not that I was ever worried about it, but it was always just, it's just that thing of like, yeah, this is what it's like. This is LARPing. This is the most fantastic experience. And there's going to be so many more of them. And so I just remember coming off that field feeling such a high and being like, you know, I could take on the world. You know, it was like, I could just, you know, pull a tree in half. I was just like, I've got all this like adrenaline, because it was just being in battle with not only my friends, but with my fellow winter markers of all peoples, Suak, Steiner, Calavessa, and things like this. And it was just a fantastic experience, and it was just a wonderful memory to have. And, you know, there's so many other stories I could say, but that one really sticks out as like almost like the turning point of, I found my game, I found my footing in this wonderful hobby. And I can't wait for the next one. And since then, and I think that's been another year since that happened, and I just love this hobby. I love the people in it, I love the experiences, and I can't wait to make 10 times more memories in it. So yeah.
Amazing. I think that's a great story as well to come in to talk about chuffing of ambition, and what, you know, drove you with your ambitions and everything else. I think it's great to come in, and a great story to sort of counterpoint that. But no, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for coming on and talking to us.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. I think we were talking earlier would be great. Like I say, we're hoping during the long dark to record some more in-depth things, like talk about like specific plot lines and like different aspects of the game that you're really need to dig into. So it'd be great to have you back to talk about some of like the plot you've done as the Champion of Ambition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you guys for joining us. Obviously, thank you guys to the other hosts for we don't thank each other enough. Thank you guys for being these lovely hosts.
It's all been worth it. It's all been worth it. I've been sat here for weeks just waiting for that.
So thank you guys for joining us for this. I hope you've enjoyed it. We really enjoyed doing these guest Tales episodes. It's great to listen to all these amazing stories. As much as we love talking about the cool stuff we do, it's great to hear about all these things that we don't get to see in the field. So thank you very much for joining us. As usual, hit like, subscribe, reshare, and bungle and all that other weird stuff, and just, you know, do stuff that the algorithm likes. Comment, come and share your comments, and yeah, professional.
Wow,
really
nailed that. Absolutely nailed that.
I feel like he copied me actually.
I know. Yeah. There's only one person that can bumblefuck the way through an outro, right? And we can't like, do not take this from Keane.
In all seriousness, you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, like and comment. You're on a listen to us on a podcatcher, leave us a review. I think we said on the one we recorded in the field, if you leave an interesting review or insult us, we'll read it out, but it has to be a 5-star review. You don't get to leave a 1-star review and insult us. That's mean. We have a Discord. I think there's a link in some of the descriptions. I realized that we had to do a verification thing on YouTube for that to work. We'll probably have to do that at some point. We do have a Discord. You can come and chat to us. Check out our TikTok. Keane's been doing great putting up all the clips and stuff on TikTok. We're trying to get some conversations going on there, talking about your opinions on things or advice you can give people. And if you wish to share your own story, get in touch. Like I say, we want to talk to as many people from across Anvil as possible. Reach out to us through email at talesfromanvil@gmail.com, or in the Discord, or in a comment, and we will try to get a hold of you. If you're not confident about talking on camera, or if you don't have a recording set up that you're comfortable with, send us an email, share the story, and if we get a few, we'll dedicate an episode just to reading some of them out. I think I've covered most of the important
You
bits
do, I
there.
mean, nailed that. Absolutely nailed that.
Yeah.
We stumbled around the social media part, but then you've pulled
Yeah,
that
got
right
there,
back
we
at
pulled
the
it
end.
back.
Jordan. Insane. Yeah.
Grabbed it. So, Ivan Jordan, you can catch me at Always Ready to Roll GM, Instagram and TikTok. We're sharing some more LARP stuff and the D&D stuff. Charlie, where can people find you?
I'm on just the Facebooks and the Instagram. My name is .charlie, so feel free to add and say hello.
Brilliant. And Danica and you two can do your bits.
You can find me on TikTok as Keen.Scully, and Instagram as well is pretty much the same. And every second Tuesday on the Emerald Collective, playing Arthur Kane and in Adventures from a Dramatist, where I play an absolute dickhead. It's great. Last session, I fully went full villain arc.
Brilliant.
I'm on the internet in lots of the shady corners. Please don't try and look for me, because if you do, you'll regret it. But you can mainly find me here. It's been a pleasure. My name's Dan.
Lovely.
Slum.
See you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.